This is Barry here, and you are very, very welcome to today's episode of the Passion to Profits podcast. Now, in today's podcast episode, this podcast episode is dedicated to the introverts out there. Now, as a card-carrying introvert, I know what it's like to show up here in video. I know what it's like to network and hang out in social media and just put yourself out there. You know, marketing yourself as an introvert is tough because it feels like on the internet, it's just full of extroverts. All the people who are talking, all the people who are saying, look at me. And then we show up as a quiet person who is just introverted, who is just maybe a little bit timid. We feel that, well, this opportunity isn't available to us. Now, in this podcast episode, hopefully I am going to make you see that being an introvert is actually a superpower, and a superpower that you should actually lean into. Now, the first great thing about being an introvert is that you are going to be a better listener. Now, extroverts love nothing more than talking. And you're going to find that you can't talk, or you can't actually listen as you talk. And as an introvert, as someone who talks less, you're going to find you're going to be listening more. You're going to be listening to the problems people have that the extroverts aren't going to hear about. You're going to find that people are actually going to be attracted to you more because you are going to come across as a good listener. Because while the internet at the minute is just all kind of look at me, I've got this, and I'm amazing and all that, you find that a lot of people on the internet, who go on there would like to hang out with people who listen to them, who want to know, well, what's your problem? How can I help you? Rather than actually forcing products or forcing content on them, they want just somebody just to take their time and actually listen to them. And as you, being a listener, you're going to come up with content ideas that an extrovert is not. You're going to build a closer bond to your audience because you're going to come across as someone who's actually listening. You're not actually talking a story to that other person, that when that person is actually sharing their problems or their story with you, you are just sitting here listening to it. Now, another thing I'd say to you as well too is that as an introvert, you don't need to be on every platform. You need to lean into your strengths. What do you like doing? What do you feel would be maybe the best way you could dip your toe into social media? You don't need to do videos. You don't need to podcast. If you feel that maybe your best opportunity to get online is simply doing something with text, start there. You could start off with Twitter if you like the platform. You could maybe do some Facebook posts, or if you would rather maybe just build a platform of your own, start writing blog posts and lean into what you're good at. And then you're going to find over time that as you maybe develop a community, develop an audience, and maybe develop some courage in yourself and actually see, maybe I should do maybe videos. I'll try it out and give it a go. Or maybe I'll do a podcast because maybe a podcast might be better for you because you're not actually on camera. You're just kind of talking and no one can see you. You might find that maybe podcasting could be a better option for you. So just lean into what you're comfortable doing, because the last thing you'd want to do is force yourself, if your personality isn't in it, to try and become someone who's big on TikTok or YouTube if that's not where you are. You're going to find you're going to burn out, you're going to hate it, and you're not going to do it as often as you can. So if you feel that maybe just writing is the best place to start there. Now, what I'd say to you as well too is that you need to set boundaries as an introvert. Now, I know in my own case, I get burnt out hanging around with people. Now, not that I don't like people, I do like people, but I can only stomach people to a certain amount of time, and then I need to go off, I need to decompress, and I need to find some me time. And what I'd say to you is to not to force that if that is how you feel, if you feel that maybe you can only write a blog post or you can hang out in social media for half an hour and then after that that's your limit, well then stick to your boundaries, stick to what you can do. Again, whatever you can stick to and do consistently is going to be a lot better for you than trying to force yourself into a fake personality that you don't have and that you're not going to stick with it. So again, if you find that maybe social media is just sometimes just taking up too much of your mental bandwidth, switch off your phone, turn off the laptop, get away from the group and just have some me time. Get away from everything so that your head can mentally decompress and actually maybe just kind of think about maybe the stuff that you've seen today. You might find maybe something that might come up when you have the me time away from social media. So don't feel you need to be on all the time. Set boundaries if that is what you feel that you should be doing. Another thing I'd say to you as well too, as an introvert, because I don't like being around big groups of people, I can suffer being in front of small groups. Now, what I mean by that is, I wouldn't want to do a Facebook Live or a YouTube Live where I knew that I was in front of maybe 10,000 people. Mentally that would probably, it'd be too much for me to take on. Now maybe over time, maybe when I do develop a little bit more confidence on camera and do kind of feel a little bit more comfortable at myself, maybe I could speak at some point. But I know that my strength is speaking to small groups. So because of the way I am, I have no problems speaking to my group in my daily email, because that's a little kind of safe space for me that I can just simply do my text. And if I was doing maybe a Zoom call or something like that, I would usually do it maybe 1 or 2 people or a small group of people. If I knew that there was 100 people in a Zoom call, again, that would probably put more pressure on me, and I probably wouldn't come across as well in it. So if you find that maybe you just would work, or you would rather work with smaller amounts of people, well then do that. Focus on the most important people to you. If you feel that, your group on social media is maybe a Facebook group on a particular topic, and that is your little safe space. You just like hanging around with those 100 people or whatever it is. If you find that that is where your strength is, well then stay in that little group. Again, don't think that you need to become an extrovert, that you need to do these YouTube lives where you're in front of 10,000 people or huge, groups of people, or that you need to actually get up on stage and give a speech in front of hundreds of people. If that's not you, well then that's not you. And you're not going to stick with it long if you do try and force yourself to do that. So maybe just focus on small groups of people. You don't need to coach 30 people at a time. If you feel that you would be better or more comfortable maybe just coaching one-on-one with one person, well then just stick to what you're happy doing. So don't think that you need to become an extrovert and speak in front of huge amounts of people. Now what I'd say to you as well too, when we're speaking about groups, is stick to groups that you feel comfortable in. Now if I did put myself in a Facebook group as an introvert who didn't know much about the topic or didn't really love what I was talking about, I wouldn't do much interaction, and I wouldn't feel comfortable interacting with that community because I don't have much knowledge on the topic. Again, I would probably hang around. I'd be a lurker who would read all the content, read all the comments, and that's as far as it would go. But you're going to find that if you are looking to maybe put yourself out there, it's a lot easier to actually put yourself into a group of something that you actually know about, something you've got a passion about. Again, that's why I'm creating all this content, is because I have a passion about trying to help people build a business around the passion. So if I found a Facebook group that was all about people who were talking about building a business with passion, I would love that group because I'd love talking about that topic. I would love helping out people. And because I'm speaking on a topic that I love doing, it's not going to be as draining for me. And you're going to find if you push yourself into a group that you have no knowledge on or you've got no love for, it's going to take a lot out of you. So again, you need to lean into maybe smaller groups, but groups that you have a knowledge on, have a love for, and then you're going to find it's going to be easier to interact with that because you know the content, you know what people have a love for, and it's easy to kind of fit into a community where everybody loves the kind of topic that they're talking about. So if you're looking to hang out in social media, find something like that. Find a group that is speaking about a topic that you like, and then build from there. Just put your toe in the water. It's a great place to start. Another thing you should think about is that taking breaks. Again, not only setting boundaries where you maybe turn off the laptop and walk away from social media after maybe an hour or so. You don't need to be in social media every day. If you want to, you can show up on social media maybe once a week or once a month or whatever. You don't need to be here all the time. Now, it would probably benefit you with social media having all these kind of how long your content actually stays on their platform. It would probably benefit you to be there every day because at least your content will be there all the time on the platform because there's so much content going on these social media platforms. A post that you'll probably put on the day was probably going to go to the bottom of the page later on this evening, so maybe your audience mightn't actually see your content as often. But if you feel that maybe you need to step away from social media for a week or two, there's nobody going to blame you. Sometimes we feel guilty when we're putting out content constantly. When I was doing TikTok for a long time, and because people were showing up, watching my content and commenting and things like that, it came to a point that one time I just got tired and I just stopped making the videos and I just walked away from it. Now in the beginning, I actually felt guilty. I felt guilty that I wasn't making content. I felt guilty that I wasn't interacting with my community, but I needed to think about me. I needed me time. I needed me time to walk away from it. I needed me time to maybe just fill my head with more knowledge so that when I come back again, I could speak about new topics, because I found myself kind of rehashing and re-talking about the same content over and over again. So sometimes it can benefit you to walk away from social media for a period of time. So always put yourself first. I know you're trying to build a community. I know you're trying to build a relationship. And I know you're trying to get your name out there. But if you feel that as an introvert, you just need some me time and just time to yourself, take it. No one is going to blame you. And it could actually stand to you in the future by actually taking these breaks every so often away from it. Now, when it comes to social media or the content or the relationships that you create, think quality, not quantity. Again, as an extrovert or as an introvert, or trying to be an extrovert, we feel, well, we need to be everywhere. We need to have as much content as we can. And so what we do is we try and churn out loads of content, not really caring about the quality. Now, as an introvert, you're going to find that we are the opposite to extroverts, that we actually like quality better. And you could find that maybe only doing maybe one video once a week, but doing a quality video could be better for you instead of you maybe doing 7 videos in a week where the quality isn't as good. And again, you notice your audience is probably going to notice that too as well, that the quality that you actually give them is better quality than what other people give. And that's because you're an introvert. You're actually saying to yourself, well, if I'm going to make a video today, I'm going to make sure that it's a good quality video. I'm not just going to churn out like everybody else does. I'm going to put some thought into what I do. So don't kind of fall down or think you need to go down the extrovert route of just pumping out or churning out tons of content. If you feel that you'd only rather do a couple of pieces of content, well then just make sure they are quality pieces of content. And again, that quality will attract people to you. Again, too, when it comes to social media, don't think that you need to do it all yourself. If you have maybe some tools like Hootsuite or Buffer or maybe IFFT, you can use that to get your content in other platforms. You don't have to be on every platform. If you feel that maybe you just like being on Facebook, well, hang out there. But what you can do is maybe repurpose the content, stick it into an AI tool, or stick it into a scheduling tool, so that your content actually gets sent over to all those different platforms, but that you're not involved of actually going over there and posting it. Again, so you're kind of limiting you're setting your boundaries of how much time you would spend creating content on social media. You can use those scheduling tools to really help you as an introvert. And I would recommend you do, rather than actually trying to do too much and then just burning yourself out. And again, too, when it comes to when you're networking, think of intentional networking. I've noticed this myself, is that when I might go into maybe a Facebook group, or I might go onto a LinkedIn page or something like that, I find that, it's very easy just to kind of fall into the idea of thinking, well, I need to comment on every post. I need to leave a remark or something like that. But as an introvert, I found that that's not my wheelhouse. An extrovert would probably have no problems getting into those comments and, mentioning all the different things that, joining in the conversation. But as an introvert, sometimes I find that when I go through the content, go through the comments, I'm more kind of intentional about what I would do. I wouldn't just put a random comment on every single post. I would pick out the kind of content or the comments that are more attractive to me, and then intentionally leave a reply or intentionally leave a comment. And by doing that, I know that I'm actually giving better. I'm helping both the person that I'm commenting the content on and as myself, because I'm kind of limiting my interaction with the content. So don't feel that you need to answer every blog post or every comment. Be intentional with your time. And then finally, you need to be able to say no. You need to be able to say no to other people, and you need to be able to say no to yourself. Again, other people might ask you, maybe say, well, something, I think you should be over here on YouTube, or you should be putting your content on TikTok, or you should be doing this or doing that. And it's very easy for us to say, well, yeah, maybe I should be over there. But I would actually maybe get you to reel that back in and just think about yourself for a moment. Is there a reason you're not over there on YouTube? Is there a reason you're not on TikTok? Is there a reason you're not blogging? Because if you, again, do something that someone else recommends you do, you could find that maybe that isn't in your wheelhouse and you're going to hate doing it. So always think of yourself first. I know we like to think of our audience as introverts. We like to give quality content. We like to listen. We like to interact. And we like to kind of build meaningful relationships. But sometimes you need to say no. Sometimes you just need to stick to what you're good at. If you feel that maybe blogging is where you should be staying, well then stick to that. So if you do get opportunities maybe to go on a podcast and you say to yourself, well, I couldn't be in a podcast, I wouldn't feel comfortable in a podcast, well then just simply say no, it's not for me. And you need to as well too, when it comes to saying no, you need sometimes as an introvert, I found that sometimes we might use being an introvert as an excuse. We kind of say to ourselves, well, as an introvert, well, there's no way I could make videos. There's no way I could have a podcast because I'm an introvert. That's only for extroverts. And sometimes you find that we kind of maybe use as an excuse. We kind of, use it as a handicap. Well, I'd love to make the videos, but I'm an introvert. But is that really true? You're going to find that maybe just stepping a little bit outside your comfort zone, you might actually find that you will be able to do videos. You might be able to do videos as often as everyone else. You might be able to record as many podcast episodes as everyone else, but that opportunity could be there for you as well. So don't dismiss those kind of things you could be doing as an introvert. And as I said, this was something that I used to do. I used to believe that I couldn't do videos, I couldn't have a podcast, I could do some writing, I could do all that tech stuff, but this stuff, not a chance. And really, I was lying to myself. So as an introvert, you can show up in different platforms, in different mediums, but you might have to maybe just ration how often you would do it, and again, set boundaries. So I hope this podcast episode was helpful. I hope maybe you've learned something from it. If you have, I'd love to know what you thought of the podcast episode. Please feel free to leave any comments below the video. And if you do go down into the show notes, you're going to find the new Kindle book series that we have over on the Kindle store, which is called the Passion to Profit book series. Now, I'm sure if you put in Passion to Profits in the Amazon search box, you're going to find the book series. Or if you want to simply just click on the link in the book, in this podcast description, you're going to be taken directly over to the Amazon store. And what we're doing at the moment is we are turning these podcast episodes into Kindle books. So if you would like to maybe go into more in depth on how being an introvert is to your advantage, I recommend that you should click on that link and see is the Kindle book over there. So as always, have a lovely day. Take care. Bye-bye.